we are in a hurry. Quite a lot. So let's get started very fast. I am gonna today do something different than I've done in all my previous videos. I'm gonna just let the time-lapse speak for itself. I mean, there isn't... yeah, I mean, I could talk a little bit about some things, but I think it's quite self-explanatory. I'm gonna be building the station, a few more houses. Let's see, I'm gonna be building the square in front of the entrance of the drop tower, and of course the ride skin for the drop tower. So yeah, that was all I'm really gonna say about the time lapse. No, today I'm actually gonna talk to you about my last week, because as you will know if you've watched the last episode, I have only been home for a few days by the time I upload this video, because I've been to Phantasialand and Europa-Park in Germany, and my god, was it everything I hoped it would be and more. Especially Fantasia. I mean, I had been to Europa-Park like 6 years, or no, yes, 6 years before. So I kind of knew what to expect there, but Phantasialand, you know, of course everybody knows Terran, and the majority knows like Black Mamba, and I mean, you've seen pictures, but I loved the park. Like, it's such a different feel from any other park I've ever been before. So Phantasialand is tiny in actually only in just the acreage of the park, you know. It's very cramped. It's small, but it's got so much. It's like you know how there's like attractions that are like mazes. Some people build like mazes and they sell them like, look, we have an attraction. This entire park is a maze. It's just paths are going over and under coasters and under themselves and through tunnels and over bridges, and it was amazing. It was just something I have never experienced, and it's something that has really quite inspired me. Of course, it's way too late to do it in this park, but I am gonna try to incorporate a little bit of that style in my future videos, in my future attractions and future areas of the park. I mean, this, for the ones who don't know, I'm in this mini park building, of course, for the contest for Channel 5 Gaming, but this entire project is gonna be ported over to my mega park, which I'm building right now. It currently has only one attraction, and after this it's gonna have a whole other area. But in the rest of the park, I'm really gonna try to incorporate that quite a bit. You know, that whole style. And it's been, yeah, I know, it's just been amazing. And I want to especially talk a little bit about Terran. You know, I had very high hopes and very high expectations going into it. I had, you know, obviously seen the POV, I've read some reviews, I've seen videos about people who were praising it, and so I had these insane hopes, and almost no coaster would ever have lived up to it. But Terran, man, it's just something else. I came off smiling and cheering, and it's, damn it, that's a good coaster. It's just not only just so intense. I've never been on like one of those snappy turns coasters, if you know what I mean. Like, Terran is really based upon throwing you around. And I mean, I've been in a couple GCI coasters, so I guess that's kind of the same, but kind of not really the same style as Terran. It's weird. Really hard to explain, at least. But this was like a first coaster for me in that style, and it did not disappoint. It was amazing. Of course, the scenery was amazing. It's currently actually my phone background. I loved it. And Black Mamba also just, damn. You know, I heard it was a train coaster, but I didn't actually see a POV, I believe, or at least I think I saw one, but like years ago, when I was jealous of a friend who was going there in like 2012 or something, and this thing was brand new. I'm not sure when it was built, but Like he was, I remember him going like, oh, I'm going there and look at this awesome coaster, and I was like, oh shit, I'm so jealous. I think that's the last time I saw a POV of Black Mamba, and then I went on it, and it just, you know, by the time you were, okay, how do you say this? Like, it was all going well, and after a while, you know, you've been going for a while, and you hit your, I think, fifth version, and you know that's the last one, and you know you have been underneath ground level for already a few hundred meters probably, and you know, you think to yourself like, okay, well then it's gonna be one turn and we hit the brake run, but it keeps going. Like, it's insane how long this coaster is. Not even to mention the views you can get from the path in the area and of the queue. It's just, Jesus. You know, this park, it completely blew me away. That being said, I have a very hard time deciding to myself which is the best park I have ever been to in my entire life. I'm currently kind of juggling between Efteling, Phantasialand, Europa-Park kinda, like I love the place, I do love it, but I don't know, there is something missing. I wouldn't know exactly what, but there is something very slightly missing. That I found that Efteling, Europa-Park and the last park, or Efteling, Phantasialand and the last park on my list do have, and the last park is Universal Studios Hollywood. But I don't think that's gonna win. Just, you know, like if I went to Universal Studios in Orlando, it probably would have been my number one park. It's massive, it's got a massive budget, it's just this huge, incredible themed park with this great storytelling. But the thing is, the Hollywood version is tiny, man. It's so small. It has like 5 attractions. So I was there for a day. I just said to my family, you know, like, goodbye. I'm just gonna go run to all the attractions and, you know, just run loops, do as many attractions as I can through the single rider's line. But like after half a day, you kind of realize to yourself, you know, they have the Harry Potter adventure, you know, the what was it, Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey, which is, in my opinion, the best ride I've ever been on. It's amazing. So that's the ride they have. They have the Mummy Coaster. Back when I was there, it was still the Jurassic Park ride. And then that's about it. I mean, they have the Incredible Studio Tour, don't get me wrong. But that's kind of, you do it once and then you kind of know it. I mean, I loved it, but it's not something I would really do multiple times in one day. If I were there 2 times, maybe I'd do it twice. And I think that's why that park wouldn't be my number one. So then it really is between Phantasialand and Efteling. And just, it's hard. Because, you know, Phantasialand wins in theming. And it isn't really a challenge. Like the Efteling, the attractions on their own are amazing. They're completely immersively themed. But between them, not really, you know, like the paths are just, well, they're paths, and you're going through this forest, and that's actually because the Efteling is, in the first place, not an attraction or an amusement park. It's actually a forest, it's a nature reserve. Which is something most people don't know. The actual name of the Efteling is, I believe, Natuurreservaat Efteling, which means Nature Reserve the Efteling, and you know, there are attractions there, but they are really, really careful with their nature, and they have all those wild animals. So it's a really unique situation, and I praise it for it. But also just walking around in Phantasialand made me realize, you know, however amazing that is in the Efteling, and however morally right that is, you know, all that, you know, keeping the nature intact, it could have been more. So that's why I think Phantasialand wins on theming. But there is one area of Phantasialand who really is lacking a lot. And I mean a lot. And that is storytelling. You know, all those attractions, they're amazing, but to find out specifically what they were themed after, I had to go to Wikipedia and look it up. You know, for example, Taron. I thought at first, you know, medieval village, then I was like, no, things don't add up really, you know, the rock work is really not something, you know, that seems not really medieval per se. And also, you know, the building style is maybe a little bit different. So eventually I found out it was like this Norse village. But there is no story in the coaster. The coaster looks amazing, but there's no story there, apart from, look, you're going through this village. And the same goes a bit with Black Mamba. It looks amazing, but again, there's no story really there. I mean, it's just a coaster through Africa. And Chiapas, the Wild Rapids ride, it's just a log flume through Mexico. And that's kind of the thing with these coasters. It's just like, or any attractions at all. They look amazing. The best I've seen ever in my life. But there is no story. And that's the thing Efteling nails. Absolutely gets perfect. I mean, it maybe not if you're not Dutch, because a few attractions are old enough to not be in every language. So there are some attractions that are completely in Dutch and maybe not followable. You can't follow it if you aren't from the Netherlands. But you know, as someone from the Netherlands, those attractions have a story, and the attraction is themed after the story, and the story is even integrated into the ride itself, not just into the queue or into the exit or into the station building, no, into the entire ride. You know, Baron 1898, the new dive coaster, everybody knows it because of its immersive theming. However, the storytelling of it is much better. They have 2 pre-shows that tell the entire history of the building, of the Baron that runs the mine, about how much he wants the gold, about you know, about the spirits that protect the gold. And then even into the ride, as you're going up a lift tower, but not just you know, a coaster lift, but like this lift that lets mine workers into a mine. That's what they looked at for that tower structure. And then as you hang over the edge, you know, it's a dive coaster, you hang over the edge, you hear a mining bell before you fall, and then you hear like the spirits. Oh, I'm sorry, my neighbors are apparently building. So yeah, that's kind of my impression of the 2 parks that currently are on the top of my list of parks I have visited. And you know, they're very different in almost every way. However, there is one factor that will give a win to either of the parks. And that one is the coasters. You know, as much as I love Efteling and I love their theming and I love what they've done with the park, the coasters aren't really that spectacular. I mean, George and the Dragon is an awesome GCI dueling wooden coaster. That one is a great one. And Baron 1898 is great, but a bit short. But Python is ancient. I mean, it's still a fun ride, don't get me wrong, but it's ancient. It's built in 1981. It's one of the oldest coasters, you know, one of the you know, almost original steel coasters, all the way from the time when Vekoma first got to use Arrow's track design. I mean, that's a 40-year-old coaster next year, and I mean, it just doesn't really hold up to what all other parks are building. And I mean, don't even get me started on the Flying Dutchman. I mean, it's an awesome dark ride, but the coaster, you know, it's actually created by Comeback, and it's the only coaster they have ever built. And well, you can really see why, can't you? I mean, not only was the opening of it delayed by over a year, but the ride just isn't fun. There's no forces. You know, in the coaster part, I mean, it has some speed, and then, I mean, there is like 2 of those hills, and there is no airtime on them. Then you have this overbank turn, and there is, well, nothing really in that part. And then you have this big amazing splash. The splash is cool. I'm gonna give him that. So yeah. But on the other hand, then you have Phantasialand with an awesome B&M invert that just it blew me away, and one of the best coasters in the world in Terran. And yes, you also have like this very, very mediocre indoor coaster, Crazy Beds. I mean, I was there in Corona time, so there was no VR, because, you know, you can't really reuse those glasses, so it was just dark and there was nothing. So it was I was completely underwhelmed. I was also kind of amazed that it had 3 chain lifts. I did not expect that. But you also have like this, even coasters that I'd never heard about. You know, Windjust Fear and Windjust Force. There are 2. I knew there were 2 spinning coasters. Alright. So I went in them, and, you know, it's such a unique experience with all the, you know, like tilting tracks and all the fun thing. I can't even imagine. It's amazing. And let's see, did they have any other really notable coasters? Yeah, of course they had the log flume. I mean, that log flume, it's so good. I've been to Disneyland. I think it was Disneyland. Yeah, it was in Anaheim, California. That was a long time ago though, but yeah, I've been to their attractions, of course. I've done a couple of their attractions. But I mean, even Disney can't really hold a candle against this theming of this. And then, not even to mention that this park doesn't only have the theming, they actually have the intense ride to back it up. You know, that's the thing I hate about Disney. They have the theming, but then they just gave up after that. The most intense coaster they have is a mine train. And, well, that just, yeah. I wasn't impressed with Disney, you know? It's like this park that holds up, or not holds up actually, that is praised everywhere you go. It's like, oh, Disney this, Disney that. And so when I went there for the first time, my expectations were properly high. Like on the same level as Phantasialand expectations. And I can tell you, like, I was jumping up and down in the car when I first saw, you know, like saw the park doom up between the trees. So I had this insanely high expectations, and it just didn't really hold up. I don't know. Never really liked Disneyland. But, you know, and then you have Phantasialand, who had the same expectations, and they have the same or even better levels of theming, and then they have these amazing rides to back that all up. And it's, I mean, when Fly opens, I have to return. That's just, it's amazing. I actually got a photo of Fly testing. You know, I went up to one of the doors. They're currently, of course, closed. But there was like this little hole underneath. You could just barely see through, but for that you would have to lay on the ground, and there were a lot of people. It was quite a busy day. It was in the middle of vacation, so yeah, I just grabbed my phone. I put it on the ground with, you know, the lenses sticking underneath the door, and snapped a couple of photos. And I was really lucky because I actually got the car on there. So yeah, I will have that photo up now. And by now we're actually nearing the end of the time lapse, so I'm gonna have to wrap it up. So yeah, trip was amazing. The 2 theme parks, top notch. Europa-Park is probably my number 3 park in the world, and Phantasialand my number 1 park. And, you know, it's been such a blast. I've never really done a holiday like this, in which I just went to to multiple places for the theme parks. I've always wanted to do that, and I do have like a big Europe tour planned sometime in the distant future. But it's been a blast to do like this small tour, like very close to home, but still like have this experience. And it's been awesome. It's been so awesome. It's a unique experience for me, and well, no regrets. And of course, I had a lot of inspiration because of it for this park that I'm building right now in the background. So yeah, I think that's all I wanted to talk about for now. So I will leave you with Live Me. Have fun with him, I guess. And after all that building, there's only one thing left to do, and that is the next episode. So by the time the next episode goes live, this park should be submitted in the contest, since next Tuesday is the 11th and the deadline for the park is the 10th. And so I have made a list of what I still need to do before it is actually 100% finished. And it's quite long, but most of the things are quite small. So, for example, the station roof with 1O. The station roof, I have the dome, but the dome isn't really complete and the dome is currently floating mid-air. I have an idea for that, but it's gonna take some time. The backstage roof, so in between all the facades that I've put up, all the houses, there need to be roofs and a little bit of air conditioning here and there. It's gonna take probably an hour maybe to build that. Finishing the restaurant, I don't know if you've noticed, probably you have, because it's been like kind of an eyesore for the last 4 or 5 episodes or so. I've kind of started working on the restaurant on the left side of the park, and well, never finished it or even came close. So that's gonna take an hour or two. Plaza at the end of the second lunch, I put in a little plaza. I don't think I've recorded that or included it in Timelapse. Maybe I have. But there is a plaza there, and it currently looks very empty because it is very empty. It's just path. There's not even benches or any green or any plants, any scenery, anything. The smoke effect, some little smoke thingies in some pipes across the park is gonna not take that long. The pre-shows for the drop tower are gonna take quite a bit of time. Yeah. I've already said I've got a special plan for that. And I could probably reveal it right now and nobody could be copying that, since it takes so much time. But I mean, it's a little bit, I'm just gonna leave it till the next episode, and I'm gonna show you. Of course, it's cinematic, and it's so awesome. I've teased this a little bit a few episodes ago, and I'm so excited. So of course the lighting, the entire park is dark. The bridge in front of the station facade. Well, it's just a path right now. There's nothing underneath, so it looks a little weird. The trench rod in front of the station facade. Again, there's a trench run. The coaster goes through this trench in front of its own entrance, and that's completely empty at the moment. Custom support for the entire coaster. The waiting area number 2, there's like a little zigzag spot, and it's completely empty, which still needs to be done. A subway tunnel queue. It's gonna take probably like 20 minutes or something. It's like as soon as you exit the first station building, there's this little tunnel, and it's empty. And I wanted to theme it a little bit like like a subway tunnel. Posters asking for volunteers. This one needs a little bit of explanation. It's basically the drop tower flat ride is basically that this professor is asking for volunteers to test out his new invention. and there are gonna be a few posters across the city that are gonna ask like, "Oh, do you want to make a bit of money? Come to this house and test this for me." So that's something. It's not gonna take a lot of time. Like if you like half an hour in paint, and I've got a nice poster. So then the second to last turn in Hyperline, it's basically empty. So just a little bit of rock work, maybe some facades. Roof to final breaker on the station. Yeah, the station, you know, like the part with the big arches, with the subway train in it. It doesn't really have a roof. And by this point, I'm so used to it that I don't even notice it anymore. So I really needed to write this down, because else, well, there would have been quite a big chance I would have just forgotten it. The queue for Gears of Fear is very empty. I'm thinking of at least putting some roof over it or anything, you know. Trench run just before second to last turn. Oh, I've actually done that right now. So I'm just gonna put like a little X. Maybe I should do that with like, you know, a tab or something. Is that? I'm gonna put all the X's over on this column. Rock work for floating bits. That's gonna be all the way at the end. You know, if there's things left that look a little floating, I can just add some rocks underneath it. Pipes in the square by the pavilion. I've got this pavilion. Well, it's finished, but there's no steampunk elements really yet. Foliage in open areas, well, speaks for itself. First bit of exit Hyperline. Yeah, there's this little piece of path just before, you know, you walk along the trench or along the launches. That is not at all themed. So yeah, that needs to be done. The bridge at the exit of the Hyperline, there's also a little bridge that doesn't have any theming. The exact same with the bridge in front of the station facade. I need to name the two flat rides. The exit of the drop tower, it's gonna be very simple, just a little bit of rock work, but it doesn't have anything yet, so that needs to be done. Connect the queue of drop tower. Sounds like, wait, you haven't connected the queue? Yeah, there's like this little like meter or two gap between the final bit of your queue and the actual building the ride is in, so I just need to connect that. That's not a lot of work. The turn into the second launch. I've got some ideas. Actually, I want to theme it to a subway tunnel again, but currently it's empty. I'm thinking of a waterfall in the second turn next to the observatory. So you have this turn that comes so close to the park edge that actually I can't place anything without intersecting the tracks. So Johnny said you could place a few buildings on the outside of the park, like a few rocks here and there. And this is my way of doing that. So I'm gonna just build like a little rock facade, and there's gonna be a waterfall and you dive underneath it. I'm still really figuring out how I'm gonna do that exactly, but it's gonna turn out nice, just trust me. And then of course check the entire park before submitting. So that's all I need to do in the next 6 days. Today and tomorrow I have very little bit of time, so it's gonna be a little bit meh. But you know, for the rest, I think that should be fine. I think it should work. Then again, it's very short amount of time and there's a lot of to do, so I am gonna order this in, you know, most important to least important, and well, based on that, I am gonna just work through the list, and next episode is gonna be an absolute megasode in which I'm gonna cross off everything. And well, yeah, that's about it. So it's been an absolutely amazing project. The support on the channel has grown so much, and well, I'm so happy. I'm happy with the end result. I'm happy with how the channel's doing. I'm happy with the community as a whole, and I'm just happy. So on that happy final note, I'm gonna leave you, and I hope to see you in the next episode. So as you can see, I've got a very, very big plan for it. So yeah, it's gonna have a lot more structure than this episode, which was a little bit more of the all over the place, let's just build a couple of things. And well, leave a like if you enjoyed, consider subscribing. I will do a little bit more with community things because I'm not exactly sure if I'm gonna manage to bring out next episode on a Tuesday, since the deadline is on a Monday and I'm gonna be tired as hell after it. So yeah, I'll at least post something on to the subscribers on the community page on Monday when I submit the park. Including, of course, the Steam link for you all to download. So that's about it. Thank you so much for watching, and have a nice day. Goodbye.